I am very excited to introduce our next speaker. This is Julian Matthews from the Nimiipuu Protecting the Environment. Julian Matthews, an enrolled Nez Perce Nimiipuu tribal member and the coordinator for the group Nimiipuu Protecting the Environment, is a tribal member-run 501c3 and has been involved in a number of issues impacting the Treaty of 1855 with the Nez Perce. A major focus has been the Snake River Dam breaching and the wolf issues within the treaty area, particularly Idaho. We're very honored and grateful for you being here, Julian, and I will turn it over to you right now.
Okay, thank you. Like she was saying, I'm an enrolled Nez Perce, and we have a group, and it's pretty much run by Nez Perce tribal members. And our main concern is our treaty of 1855 that we have with the U.S. government, and also it includes usual and accustomed places. That's places where we traditionally hunted, gathered, or fished, and so those are reserved for us. And we, in exchange for retaining those rights, we didn't sell the land or give it to the U.S. government. We ceded it, and we retained those rights. And it was about, I think it was 11 million acres. And our treaty area goes into Idaho, Washington, Oregon, Montana, and some traditional areas in Wyoming that we hunted, and over into the Yellowstone. I really liked Jasmine's talk about Yellowstone, because that's an area where we traditionally had treaty rights to take buffalo or hunt buffalo, and now they have some type of program there. And to me, it's just really sad for the buffalo that are, they come out of the park, they want to kill them all because of some brucellosis that elk transmit to cattle, and buffalo or bison have never transmitted. They have no cases, but that's, that's another issue we're working on. And so anyway, most recently, we have been working on in the state of Idaho, our tribe. I just talked to the Keith Lawrence. He was the Fish and Wildlife Director for the Nez Perce tribe when they work with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in north central Idaho, and within our reservation, Nez Perce Reservation, that's in north central Idaho, to bring wolves to restore wolves in Idaho. And the reason the tribe started doing it was because we feel we have a strong spiritual connection, as we do with all species, whether it's salmon, buffalo, grizzly bears, wolves, mountain lions, etc. And so our tribe reintroduced them, and then into I think the Payette National Forest and other areas. And so because the state of Idaho, they didn't want to have wolves in Idaho. And so they really fought it. And so the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service allowed our tribe to reintroduce them. And so that the program turned out really good. The tribe managed them really well. We had really great staff working for the tribe to manage them. And so they got them back to decent levels. And then the biggest problem I've seen right now, even with whether it's Montana, Wyoming, or Idaho, is like once the under the Endangered Species Act, the states, like say right now, most of the wolves are delisted in the states around here anyway, Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. So what that really means is the states, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service turns that management over to the states. And so like Idaho, Wyoming, and Montana. And so here in Idaho, along with Wyoming and Montana, we have a lot of ranchers. They raise cattle. There's a lot of, and so there's a lot, the states like the elk and deer population, moose and wolves have, do eat deer and elk, and but not at exorbitant amounts. And that's what we're talking about. What they try to, the states, when they delist them, the states have authority and they're supposed to consult with the tribes. They don't. I asked our attorney when the states start doing this wolf slaughter, I call it, in Idaho, if the state Fish and Wildlife Service talked to the tribe. They didn't, of course. And so I said, aren't they supposed to? He says, yeah, they're supposed to, but they didn't. And so now, within our reservation, they have the wildlife services, the USDA wildlife services coming in, shooting them airily. They open it up to all kinds of different, I believe in Montana, they're trying to allow trapping, and in Idaho, they're allowing trapping, which is really cruel. And so they're just allowing the states like Idaho That's where our tribe is primarily located, reservations. So they're allowing them just to exterminate them, to get rid of them, because the farmers don't like them, and the state of Idaho doesn't like them because the state of Idaho generates so much revenue off of the deer licenses, elk licenses, moose tags, et cetera. And so it's a big industry. And so that's what I liked about what Jasmine was saying. Around here, it's everything's a commodity. You know, how much can we make off of it? How much money can the state make, or how much money can we make off? So now the wolf killing is a big thing now, because they start selling the hides, the pelts. And so, then they have where, if it's really strange, I was just reading in the paper today where a group's trying to pay for cattle that get killed by wolves, because right now what happens is, usually, like I live in Washington and Pullman, so northeastern Washington, there's another big issue. And of course, northeastern Oregon, there's wolves. And so when they kill them, there's been a lot of illegal kills. You know, usually what they have to do is they say, okay, this wolf killed my cow. And then the Fish and Wildlife Commission of the state goes in there, yes, it was killed by a wolf, et cetera. And so then that allows them to go kill that wolf. And there's been a lot of really unnecessary wolf killings around here. And around Idaho, it's pretty conservative, you know, and a lot of ranchers and farmers, they don't like wolves, and they definitely don't like grizzly bears. There have been a couple of grizzly bears that are coming around now here in Idaho, north central Idaho. And so they of course don't like that. But the main thing, you know, for the solution, on my picture, it shows me back in Washington, D.C., where we're with the totem journey for the salmon. And we met with Secretary Holland. She's the tribal member, Secretary of Interior, and I gave her a letter. And what I would like to see personally is to see the ESA, Endangered Species Act, change to include tribes in managing delisted species. That's kind of my pie in the sky, the thing that I'd really like to see, because right now it doesn't say that. And so tribes are just kind of kicked out of the whole process of anything to do with wolves, like right now. And what I've been doing, we joined a lawsuit against the state with Earth Justice, Sierra Club, and I met with Ben Crimshaw. He's representing Earth Justice. So we're kind of working on strategies. And one strategy that I have to protect the wolves around here is to get our tribe. We have general council meetings the end of September. So I want to push a resolution to get our tribe to tell the Forest USDA to stop Wildlife Services shooting any animals within our reservation or our treaty area, which would be a bigger expanse. And then also pushing our tribe to push back against the state of Idaho killing wolves in general within our reservation or within our treaty area. So those are my big pushes right now. And I'm going to, have to work on that, but I think we could get a lot of support. And on that's my main goal we need to change the ESA. I don't know how hard that is or if it's possible, but that's what we need to do. Include tribes in there to manage delisted species, whatever they are, whether they're grizzly bears or wolves, because I think that will protect them. Because right now, the tribe, I have a different opinion. I think there should be reasonable numbers of wolves. And really, when you come down to it, that's what I was talking about. When the non-Indians came here, a lot of them bring cattle. Cattle weren't here before. They were natural wolves and deer and elk. It was more of a natural kind of environment. And so now we have cattle, and those guys don't like wolves. And so to me, it is a clash between the culture, because what we believe, or I believe, not speaking on behalf of the whole tribe or all Indians in the United States, because I just represent me, Julian Matthews, and rural Nez Perce. So, but what I believe is that we're all part of this. Like she was saying, I told my people that, the council, I said, we're not the lords. We don't own the water. We don't own the land. We don't own the timber. We don't own the salmon. We don't own the deer. We don't own the elk or the wolves. But we're here, to me, in my opinion, is to work in harmony with them and to protect them, because they don't have a voice. It's like with the salmon or the wolves. If we just let it go, they will exterminate all of them. And I don't want to see that. I'll do what I can to stop that. And so that's one thing that we believe, or I believe, is that we're all part of this. The Creator, God, whatever you want to call him, or her, whatever, is put us here, and we're a part of this. We don't own it. We're not the lords of the world, and we can control what species lives and what species dies. And I guess what it comes down to for me, what I've seen, like we have a lot of where our treaty area is, the 55 treaty, we have, I think it's second or third largest amount of roadless and wilderness area. And, so we have to protect that habitat because the non-Indians, they all want to go in there, cut the timber, clear cut it, ruin the environment. And that's habitat too for wolves, grizzly bears, and, elk and deer. And so those are issues that we have, kind of subsidiary issues that we have to deal with to protect, protect the wolves. And a big thing that we're working on right now with a lot of groups, there's a kind of a movement internationally. It's called the Global Alliance for the Rights of Mother Earth, or Rights of Nature. And there's some tribal members in the United States that are working on it, but we're working on getting Mother Earth or nature, like it would be the wolves, the grizzly bears, to have rights. And within our tribe, we have a tribal law and order code. And so we passed a rights of rivers, which is now going to be used by the tribe, and all their the chairman told us they're going to use that in all our litigation, that we believe river has rights. And so we're working on the rights of nature. So that will include, living species, wolves, grizzly bears, et cetera, within our treaty area. And the way that we're working on it right now is to codify it into our tribal law and order code. So it's just like, say, I have rights in our tribal law and order code, and that these species or different animals will have rights in our tribal law and order code. So we'll be able to adjudicate it. I guess you could say. I'm not an attorney, but that's what we're working on right now, to make it so these different groups of animals have rights, because right now they don't. And as you see, and like other people say, if they get in the way, it really kind of really equates back to us Indians, Nez Perce, Nimiipuu. We were in the way. They wanted the land. They wanted the gold, whatever it might be. So they have to remove whatever is in the way. And so they moved a lot of tribes to reservation, took them from their homelands, took their land, tried to convert them into different religious beliefs, cut their hair, made them not speak their language. So things like that. And so to me, it's kind of this idea that, if we want it, we're going to get it, and we'll do what we got to do. And I've seen this even in different countries, where I went to the United Nations Indigenous, it was a conference, and they do the same thing everywhere, and I've been meeting with a group in Vietnam, a group of kids and water keepers on the Mekong. They get corporations, or the government goes in there, says, this is what we want. And if you're in the way, then we'll have to move you, or we'll have to silence you. And that's what they're doing to me right now. I know personally that within my tribe, we haven't put out anything within our tribal government to say stop the wolf killing. And so that's what my main focus is right now, is to work with my tribe to get out the PR to say, we as Nez Perce or Nimiipuu are not going to tolerate the killing of wolves in Idaho, because it's really become a wanton slaughter. And it's really sad because, a lot of the people in Idaho, they believe in that. They think it's okay. Any resource, whether it's mining, timber, water, whatever we can turn a buck off of, then we'll do what we got to do that. And so with the wolves, to me, it's more like, the way I view it is more like kind of trying to live in harmony with the wolves, rather than trying to say, okay, like they do in Idaho right now with the ranchers, cattlemen. They don't like wolves because they're going to eat their cattle, or kill their cattle and eat them. But that's natural. That's what they do. If they were not there, then they wouldn't be available. It'd be deer and elk. But then that goes back to the state with their elk tags, deer licenses, all their hunting licenses and everything. And so usually all this stuff comes down to, what I've seen, particularly with wolves, is money. Who's making money, who's losing money. And that's what they look at, rather than saying, okay, this is an important part of our ecosystem. Wolves are an important part of our ecosystem. It's been proven, where there's more wolves, and it changes the whole ecosystem. But then when you try to, it's kind of like, reminds me, I think it was John Donne said, no man is an island. It's kind of like we're dealing with the orcas and the Chinook. The Chinook salmon come up this way to spawn somewhat in hatcheries, and there's some natives, and then they go down to the ocean, and the Chinooks or the orcas feed on those. And so like, you can't kill all the salmon, or allow all the salmon to die up here because of the dams, and expect the orcas to live, because that's their main source of food. And so that's what we try to look at it, is like, wolves are a part of this. They're a part of us. They're part of the ecosystem, just like we are, and so there's no difference to me. And I'm not, it's really funny. I'm Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic, went to Gonzaga, and I heard this priest on this thing saying that there's environmentalists that are worshiping the environment like it's their God. And it really irks me because, hearing stuff like that, I know a lot of them are right-wing, the Catholics, but it's kind of like hearing that stuff. It really irks me because it's not about worshiping them. It's about respect. It's just like, even I was looking at we're having a lot of issues now with these boarding schools, and, Indians got the right to vote. Last group that got the right to vote in 1924 and last citizenship. And then it's the same thing with we didn't have rights before either. We didn't have any rights. They could take our land, they could do whatever they want with us. And we didn't, because we didn't have rights. And now that we do have rights, we want to exercise those, and we want to extend those to other living beings rather than just saying, okay, they're animals, and I'm not saying that I worship them like these priests was saying, but it's kind of the idea that, it's just like I read something by the Pope. He said that we need to respect Mother Nature, Mother Earth, because it provides for us, like the water provides for Mother Earth. Nature provides water for us. We all need water. We need clean air. We need clean land. That we can produce food and vegetables that we eat on, whether it's out, our traditional medicines or roots that we get out in the forests, out in the woods. We need the forest to be healthy. And so we're just trying to look at ways to provide for rights for the wolves and other living beings, and to make sure that we're not part of the problem, that we do what we can to protect species, because I don't believe that we can just, there's already a lot of species that are gone. I was reading there's some ungodly number of species on the earth that are gone. There's no more of them. And so that's really sad, because I think every species is important. I think wolves right now are in the forefront because of the way they're being treated, particularly in Idaho and Montana and Wyoming. It just seems like they, trying to live, and they're trying to kill them, just like a lot of other groups are, like whether it's Indians that were here before, we're just trying to live our lives and want to kill us all or get rid of us all, which unfortunately hasn't occurred because we've been pretty resilient. And so my thing with the wolves is to make sure that I do what I can. And, like we're doing here, networking with different groups, different tribes. I talked to some other tribes over in Montana that are trying to protect the wolves. And so sometimes some of these battles seem pretty daunting, but I think if we just keep persisting, and like I said, my thing is really with the ESA, or some way we can get Secretary Holland to adjust or do a demonstration project, say with Nez Perce, to say, okay, we're going to let the Nez Perce or Nimiipuu manage wolves in Idaho, and then see how that goes. That's what my dream is. That's my goal, is to see that, and hopefully we can get it done. But like I said, there's a lot of people in Idaho that don't want wolves. They don't like wolves, and they don't care, however you term it or however you plan it, or any type of management program. Their management program basically is get rid of them. To me, that's how I see it. And so anyway, I think that's about all I really got. But like I said, we're just fighting this fight and trying to protect the wolves, and doing, whether it's legal or, we haven't done any rallies, but we do activism and stuff, and go out, and because I think you have to use all mechanisms. You can't just, like write letters to your congressman and, do things like that. You have to kind of get out there sometimes. Like we've done some actions on the river, on the road, with the megalodes that were trying to take those evaporators up to the tar sands a couple of years ago, stop those. They're trying to, ExxonMobil was trying to bring these evaporators they use up on the tar sands. So we can do that. And I think we're just looking at ways to stop the wolves right now. So we'll do kind of the regular ones, the policy type, governmental type, but then I imagine we're going to have to do something here soon to deal with this issue, because to me, I don't want to see the state continuing this slaughter of wolves in Idaho. So that's kind of my thing.
All right, Julian, thank you so much. We have a couple questions for you if you're up to entertaining some.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is, you mentioned pursuing legal strategies to stop wildlife services from killing wildlife on the reservation and potentially on all of the treaty lands. Can you say more about that, and how far along is that process?
Well, I've been talking to, like I said, it was interesting. Someone was saying, well, like say with the rights of wolves, even up here in, like I go up and dig about we have this route we dig for the sweat lodge, and I go up there and dig. And a couple years ago, or about 4 years ago, I went up there, drove by this one area. They had clear cut on both sides of the road. So I thought, well, that's kind of strange. That's kind of a drag. And then the next year I come back and they clear cut on the other side, or they did a big clear cut up to the top. And so on the other side is a little creek where the call it cows grows, where you dig for, it's for, like I said, it's a medicine for sweat lodge, or you can use it for a drink. But anyway, I was always thinking, I said, well, who has standing on this? Like, how do you get standing? You know, I didn't even really know what that meant. My sister's an attorney, my brother's an attorney, and so what we're trying to do right now is what I'm going to do with our tribe. Like, we can have a resolution through our tribe to have the NEPTIC, Nez Perce Tribal Executive Committee, to request, or, you know, tell or whatever, however you want to term it, to say, okay, the USDA guy or Forest Service, I don't know if it's a Forest Service director, but say the Fish and Wildlife Service, that we do not want them to operate or kill wolves within the reservation or treaty area. So I'm going to bring in a resolution to that effect, and then it'll just be goes to the council and they approve it, then they push for that. You know, just like, I don't know if you've all seen with Shannon Wheeler, we've been doing a lot of stuff in Washington with the dam breaching, you know, push these senators and congressmen and our tribal council network with other tribes to get this resolution through. Like, there's other avenues we could use, as the ATNI, Affiliated Tribes of Northwest Indians, and there's National Congress of American Indians. So right now, I'm going to bring up the resolution in September, and I got some other people. Earth Justice, I think, is coming over for our general council meeting. And then I think it's Guardians of the West, I believe, where there's an attorney that's going to come over there too. So we're working on this resolution. I have it drafted up. So I'm going to present it to the council, and then the council can take action after that. And so they would most likely push the elected officials, like, not so much in Idaho, because, you know, got Simpson, he's supportive of the dam breaching, but Crapo and the Rish, they're not really supportive of us. So we push, like, Murray Cantwell, where I live, and ask them, or do some type of, see if the tribe can just tell the wildlife services to not come and kill wolves on our reservation or our treaty area. So, I mean, this is like a new thing, so we'll have to see how it turns out. And I don't know if there's a way that, like I said, we have some attorneys with Earth Justice that we could, or Sierra Club, that we can have them file a lawsuit against the Fish and Wildlife Services to stop. Because realistically, to me, our tribe, we have treaty rights, and they're always supposed to negotiate. Like, okay, like, say, to me, if you go, okay, like the tribe, there are reservations here, we have a lot of tribal land, forest land is within our treaty area. So we have rights on federal land within the treaty area. That's the Selway Lochsaw, St. Joe National Forest, Umatilla National Forest, Payette National Forest, Wallowa-Whitman National Forest, and a bunch. There's about 5 or 6 national forests that we have rights on. So that's what my angle is, to try to push the Forest Service, or whoever controls them. I don't know if the Forest Service supervisor controls them, but I want to get the tribe to come out publicly to say, stop wildlife services from shooting wolves within our reservation or within our treaty area, because that really comes down, hopefully, to the relationship between the federal government, which you're always supposed to have a consultation with. So the federal government or the Forest Service will consult with the tribe to say, we're not going to do this. And so the tribe can push them. So that's my main goal with that avenue, I guess you'd say.
Thank you. There's a couple more questions. What type of work are you doing in Washington related to its wolf management? I know you touched on that a little bit.
We haven't really been doing too much, because, like I said, I live in Pullman, and I know Northeast Oregon. I did put my name in for there was an opening for the Fish and Wildlife Commission for the state of Washington, but then they picked someone else, and I don't know. I don't think there's any Indians on it. I should write Inslee a letter, or his staff, about it. So that's one, I think that'd be cool if I could get on there, because then I'd be able to express my opinion, because, our treaty is here. Where I live in Pullman is within our treaty area. The original treaty is where Washington State University and University of Idaho sit. And so it's kind of like, they act like, we no longer have any say on the land, but I think we should. But in Northeastern Washington, and we've been doing some stuff with, I think it's into the wild, for the wild in Northeast Oregon, like there's a rep in Enterprise, or Joseph, I believe, no, LeGrand, and he's been working on some stuff there, but we primarily been focusing, because I also work full time on the HR director at our tribal enterprise. So it's I do stuff at work, but we're primarily working on this lawsuit with Earth Justice. But I think Northeast Oregon, the wolves are a big issue, Washington, Oregon, Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho. And so, that's why we're trying to get networks going with where we can kind of focus on the commonality, because up there and on the Colville res, it's up on close to Northeast Washington, and then down in Northeast Oregon, the Umatilla tribe. So I haven't really pushed those tribes to see what they're doing, but I think it's a big issue. So we're trying to start here and then see how it works. And then we can probably move or network with other tribes to get them more involved in protecting their areas, because that's within their Colville, Confederate Tribes of Colville and the Umatilla. They have Northeast Oregon and Northeastern Washington up north of where I'm at.
Okay, thank you. Here's another question. Why do you think the Nimiipuu have not yet established a policy for the protection of wolves in tribal law? Correct me if I'm misremembering what hasn't been established. Are there cultural, political, other pressures preventing that?
No, I don't believe so. I just believe that it's an oversight, because I'm a tribal member, and I look at, that's like I said, I talked to the former Fish and Wildlife director that helped the tribe reintroduce the wolves with the Forest Service, and I asked him, so what's the tribe think about it now? And he said they haven't, this is between like me and my tribe, right? The tribal government, the elected officials for the tribe, the council, 9-member council, that is my big question to them. Why haven't they done anything? And that's why I said I'm going to bring this resolution up to the general council, because, it's so strange that we helped reintroduce them in Idaho, and now the state of Idaho is slaughtering them. And it's like, we don't say nothing. The tribe Neptic, the chairman, has said nothing about it. And that's my big issue. That's really the heart of this whole matter is, that's a good question, because it's why hasn't our tribe said anything about it? I haven't heard word one, and I work, 10 miles from the tribal headquarters, and we have a natural resources subcommittee. So it just seems kind of odd to me, but, it's usually that we'll bring it up, get the grassroots behind it, then they'll do something, so it's kind of like, I would just say they haven't thought about it maybe, or, I'm sure they must read the paper, but that's the big question I have. Why haven't you done anything?
Okay, another question is, what can Idaho residents do to help support the tribe's efforts? Someone here is a Central Idaho resident who wholeheartedly agrees with your efforts and is disgusted by Idaho's wolf management.
Yeah, what I would say is we haven't done, I think we did a kind of an online campaign about it before, but maybe just get with our, send me an email if you're interested. I don't know where they actually live, but that's what we're trying to do. Like, we have an office in Moscow, and then we have a kind of a listserv. And so just go onto our, Facebook, and just message me, because that's what we're trying to do really with the Facebook, Nimiipuu Protecting the Environment. Anyone wants to get involved, just message me on that or email me, protectingnimiipuu@gmail.com. Because that's what we're trying to do, get a broad base of people. And you don't have to be Indian or tribal member. We just want to get people that support that idea, because I feel it's really critical, and it's really, we got to make our voices heard. So just message me on there or send me an email, like I said, Protecting Nimiipuu. And maybe you can put that on, because sometimes people don't know how to spell it. It's Nimiipuu, Protecting Nimiipuu@gmail.com. So anyone wants to send me email and wants to get involved, and because we're going to be having some probably some get-togethers here shortly with the rights of nature, and then also with the wolves and grizzly bears, because I just met with those groups a couple of weeks ago, Earth Justice, and because I want to get something going here, and that is a way also to get the tribal membership and the NEPTIC. NEPTIC is the Nez Perce Tribal Executive, to start thinking about. We'll have a summit, wolves in Idaho will be the title, for instance, and then we get people to come together that support it, and then that will move the tribe. Because usually what I found, whether it's with the megalodes in 2014 or with the salmon dam breaching, we have to get the grassroots and then go to the council. Then they'll listen. You know, like I could go in there by myself and they just say, thanks a lot, Julian. Another complaint, and then see you later. But if we get a group and we have summits or conferences, we used to have before the pandemic, tribal environmental summits. So that's what we're going to have again. And it'll be the focus maybe on wolves and grizzly bears. And so just email me or text, message me on Facebook if you want to contact or get involved.
Very cool. Thanks so much for all your work. You mentioned the efforts to get Deb Haaland to relist northern Rocky wolves, and there have been a lot of petitions and pressure from various groups. Is there any indication that keeping up with the pressure will be effective in getting her to relist them, do you think?
Well, I mean, it's always kind of a, who knows for sure. I mean, you hope springs eternal, right? It's just like with the dam breaching, you know, that's a big issue. And I think we're right on the tipping point if we ever do it. And I think and that's another thing to get the tribal council, but that's why I say with networking with tribes is really the way to go. And I can't honestly say, because to be perfectly honest, okay, when Biden came in there, he put a lot of Indians or tribal members into position, not so much her, she's done some things, but some of them sometimes are kind of more like tokens, you know, like you think, oh, this tribal member is going to be in there. Now they're going to be fighting for all us Indians and our rights and what we believe in. And, you know, may not occur, may occur, may not occur. But hopefully she will take action, because like my idea, I think it's a good one, you know, just, you know, do a demonstration project and say, hey, let the Nez Perce tribe manage wolves and see what happens. You know, give them the money, give them the assistance, whatever they need, professional, technical, and then see how that goes. And I mean, I don't know what that would actually take. If she could do that, or do you have to redo the ESA, which would be a real nightmare. But I think with her in there, I believe she seems like she is committed to the cause. So hopefully hopefully we can get something going with putting them back protected. That's really what it needs to be done. But like I said, they need to change that whole mentality of protected and delisted, because if you delisted them again, then it's just going to go to the states and it'll be the same thing, you know, kill them all. We don't like them, eating our deer, eating our elk, eating our cows and cattle and all that. And so I think we need to have a fundamental change on the ESA and how that is managed, delisted species. That's kind of my idea and goal.
And if that doesn't work out, how can folks support the Nez Perce taking over the ESA?
I would just say, like I was saying, like we're working on this, and I don't know, I can't honestly say the tribe is working on it, but I think with like just get in contact with us, support us, you know, if we do campaigns, because we're going to probably do some more online campaigns directed at her and Biden, because we've already got some with the dam breaching. We're working with other groups too, not so much on that. But that's why I say with the Earthjust and Sierra Club, we have a lot of good people that have a lot of knowledge on how to use social media, how to get the point across. Because like I said before, some of the stuff is like with me, I mean, I have knowledge of certain things, but we need expertise on, like, say, even on social media campaigns and that type of stuff. So if anyone wants to help us on that, just, you know, like I said, message me, because we're not experts on the whole political process. So we could use help on that type of thing. Our group and the tribe maybe in the future. But like I said, the tribe hasn't really broached this issue of protecting wolves within the reservation or treaty areas. So, I mean, we're probably right now the best people to contact if you want us help. And like I said, we need all kind of help, social media campaigns and that type of thing. So, or, you know, canvassing people. We have, because I think right now this is going to be a big issue coming into the September with the wolves, because I would like to see something done. And particularly after our general council meeting, I'm going to be pushing for the tribe to take action, like I said, with the wildlife services, and to protect wolves or do something, because unless they do, you know, like they say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I don't want to be a part of that, seeing the wolves just continue to get killed when they're just trying to live like I am or you are. We're all just trying to live our lives and not be subjected to being slaughtered because it costs us a cow or two or so. But I think if you want to contact us, that'd be great. Anyone?
Okay, that's wonderful. And we did put your contact information in the chat, so
Okay.
Folks can grab it from there. Hey, thank you so much for your time today. I think we're going to end it now to allow folks a 10-minute bio break, and then we'll be back here at 4:45.
Okay, thanks a lot, Steph, and thanks a lot, everyone, for listening.